have any contact with him, tell him to get over here and do a show. It's Chautauqua County wide.
Right. Well, and that was my point. I said, I wrote in my note to him, I said, you know, we represent the community, especially seniors, and I said there's lots of angst and fear and concern and anger going on. What can you share with me? So I'm waiting. I've been checking my email every 5 minutes.
There's nothing to share?
Nothing so far. But also, but kidding aside, folks, when there's 600,000 of us to one, you should be contacting your congressman, Schumer and so forth, our state senators and so on. Let them know how you feel. I've talked to Kathy Young and Bill Parman over the years, and they said it does make a difference. They do look at how many emails, and they have somebody that works in their office that tracks all that sort of thing, so they can kind of get a feel for the concern on certain issues. And obviously, if you listen to Reed every week and the facts that he throws at you, this is of great concern for all of us and for the future. So anyways, and then the other part on the website is you can click a button and you can get a regular monthly or weekly, whatever they send out, newsletters from the congressman. So let's get involved. Let's get Chautauqua County involved and get a hold of Higgins and stay right up with him. But I got some other things I want to tell you about that are a little bit more fun.
Before you finish,
yes, sir.
When you contact Higgins, tell him, come over and do senior report.
I did. I will do that.
I'm talking about all these other people.
All these other folks. Yeah, come on down. And he represents our county just as much as he does Erie County. Right. We don't want to be the orphan child here.
Yeah, well, I suggested that's what it looks like to Miss Kennedy, who runs his shop, and she said, well, he's very concerned. He's always over in Chautauqua County.
Well, not here anyways. Okay. Right. But on some other kind of fun things, as you all know that I play out with my partner Bill Drello, and we've been doing Irish music all over the place. And I just want to let some folks know that we're doing some public service kinds of projects coming up real quick in August. On August 5, there's a little cool place. I don't know if you've been there, Reed. It's called 23 East. It's a coffee shop, it's a literacy program, it's a bookstore, and it's in Dunkirk at 23 East 2nd Street near the boardwalk area, that really pretty area that they've been fixing up. Well, this is just off of Washington Street on 2nd Street, and we're going to be playing there at 5:30 to 6:30, from 5 to 6:30, doing a fundraiser for literacy. And it's amazing how many folks in our county still need a little help how to read. August 9th, we're going to say hello to our, extending hello to our folks down at the Chautauqua County home, Joe and the gang. We're going to be down there, I think, around 2 o'clock, so we're looking forward to seeing you folks again.
I wonder who's going to own the home. You know, that's one of the things the county wants to do, is sell the home.
Yeah, I saw that. Well, we're going to go down there nonetheless and have some fun with the folks. And one more thing we're doing for the St. Susan's Soup Kitchen. We're going to be on the floating stage at Bemis Point on August 18th at around 5:30. So Bill and I will be putting a small show on for those folks and hopefully raise some funds for the soup kitchen. So that's all I got, Reed. Let's stay cool. Let's have a great show, and I'm looking forward to taking your phone calls at 753-JACK. Back to you, Reed.
Okay, thank you, John Hamlis. I think one of the wonderful things about our beautiful county that we have up here is the outdoor events that go on all summer. I mean, we just have this wonderful weather. You know, the French who first came through here said in all their analogs and diaries that have been read over the years, he said, this place is a Garden of Eden. It's just absolutely beautiful, and it sure is. And it has everything, including black walnut trees. Why did God make black walnut trees? I don't know. It was a squirrely idea. Okay, we have with us a guest who's not sure she's ever going to be on. Her name is Deb Neighbor, and she is what is your official title, Deb?
I'm a conservationist with the Chautauqua Watershed Conservancy.
And these people are the ones who kind of keep an eye out on our shop here for our water, our lovely lakes. Now, where'd you come from?
Well, I grew up on Long Island, and I've lived in Western New York for over 35 years now. So, been hanging around down at Chautauqua Lake, enjoying it for quite some time. And
see, the closer you are, the closer they can get to us, and even a little more. I'm not gonna. I won't put my hands on you.
That's all right. I have a black belt, so you know, I'm not scared.
You were born where?
In Port Washington, Long Island. So,
oh, okay. Yeah, I lived there for a while.
Yeah, so
lovely little community too. Mm-hmm. Up on the North Shore.
Yep.
I was on the South Shore.
Yeah.
Right on it, I might add. Had my own clam farm.
Oh, nice, nice.
Well, one of the things about clammers is they're not allowed to keep a clam under an inch. So they have to sieve them, and the little ones go back in the water.
Yep.
And some uncouth clammers save them, and they sell them for seed clams. And then people who want to have a clam farm, you take them out and you sow them like wheat out off your dock, and in a couple of years you have all the clams you can eat, for Pete's sake.
Maybe that's what happened with zebra mussels in the lake here.
I don't know. They seem to have taken care of themselves. But you know what? We don't have to worry so much about the zebra mussels anymore, because it takes 5 years for the indigenous fish to recognize a new variety, a new breed, as food. The pike and the bass and the perch and everything have all recognized that they're good food.
Yep.
And so they go down there and they eat them up. And there's a new thing coming, a new kind of eely fish, which eats them. It is an introduced species too. I forget what the name of it is.
On the ships.
But they eat them up like crazy. So now there's not such a big problem with them. They don't. The big problem with them is they would clean the water completely, and they do clean the water. But they would clean up the little tiny fry and the fish and the stuff, and so they were afraid it was going to wipe out the big fish. No way. The big fish are eating them.
More food.
More food. Okay, so back to the business of the Conservancy. Where is this Conservancy? Who runs it? What's it do?
Okay, so yeah, it's been around for 21 years. Our office is in Jamestown, right on Main Street, and it was founded by John Jablonski. And
he's still running it, isn't he?
He's still running it,
yeah.
So they do some amazing work. They're interested in preserving the shoreline, in planting buffer gardens, putting in rain gardens, trying to keep the flow. A buffer garden allows you to plant beautiful plants, flowers and bushes, that keeps a lot of the nutrients from washing into the lake. Because when you get nutrients coming into the lake, that's when the algae grows, that's when we get all those milfoil weeds and all those things popping up that make it harder to swim and enjoy our boating. So all this runoff causes a problem, but if you put a buffer garden in, or a rain garden which catches the rain that would wash the nutrients into the lake, you can put these beautiful plants, you can still enjoy the lake, but you don't have these nutrients washing
How about fertilizers on your lawn?
Fertilizers are a problem now in Chautauqua County. They have eliminated phosphates from the fertilizers that are grown locally, but what happens is we have a lot of people come to the lake from other areas, from Ohio, Pennsylvania, and maybe they bring that last bag of fertilizer they had in their garage at home, and if they spread it here and it washes into the lake, that really causes these algae blooms.
Yeah, and of course the only thing they can have so far been able to do is cut them like a lawn. Sure. And just like a lawn, it regrows.
Right.
Stuff goes right back up.
Right, and one of the things we can do is, especially in this heat, we don't even need to cut our lawn as often, but if you don't cut your lawn as often, you're not releasing a lot of those nutrients that are in your lawn, so that's another big help.
Yeah, well, so the seaweed is a problem, and fertilizing along the shore, you've got to be very careful not to use the phosphates, and I'm sure a lot of other things that help the seaweed to grow. You know, the problem with it is it banks up, piles up on the shores, and oh my God, it catches dead fish and everything. It creates a scent that will never die.
Yeah. And one of the things you can do with those weeds, though, if you have shoreline property, you can rake them up, you can compost them. They actually are very good for compost. So you can start yourself a little compost pile. Some organizations are starting to pick up the weeds if you can gather them up and bring them out to the curbside. Chautauqua Lake Association is starting to pick those weeds up and compost them. So they're very good compost. Very
well. At least they have some valuable use. I remember our state senator Pat McGee had given us two cutters to go out there and cut the stuff, but and they have to collect it, of course, otherwise it winds up on the shore.
Right.
I guess that's a lot of the compost comes from there, probably.
Yep, they're drying it, composting it, and using it in gardens or selling it.
Okay. Great. Now, let me ask you something. What do you do in particular for the Conservancy?
Okay, my job is I am mainly the upland person, so rather than working on the shoreline, I'm more interested. I have a college degree in forestry, and I've actually been a land surveyor for 30 years. And so I now I want to work with landowners, farmers, forest owners, and try to get them to consider doing what's called a conservation easement. Now, when we own property, we have a bundle of land rights. So think of it as a bundle of sticks. And a conservation easement is just giving up one or two of those sticks to conserve the land and protect the watershed. So you give up certain rights, such as developing the land into, say, a subdivision or condos, and you preserve the land in a more intact form to protect what's going into the lake by keeping it more natural.
Yeah, I tried to give some land to the Conservancy, and with this new deal, and it was so much for red tape and stuff. It couldn't happen at all.
Yeah, it is difficult. It does take time, you know. But my job is to help people through that process. So if they have any interest,
red tape, huh?
Yeah, I've written conservation easements before as a land surveyor. I'm very familiar with land rights and deeds and all these things, and so we're here to kind of help people to think about preserving land. And as your seniors are getting older and maybe farmers or forest owners, they have a bigger piece of land and, you know, their kids aren't really interested in it. It's a really good time now to think about maybe putting an easement on that, and that easement stays for perpetuity. So the land can still be built on, the land can be developed, the land can be enjoyed for recreation, but it preserves the land so that it's in a more natural state and keeps us from damaging the watershed.
Yeah, we have I have a little piece of property over in Mayville up in the woods, and the beavers are active in there, and boy have they done a number, I'll tell you. And recently they went up there with a bulldozer and did some work, we'll put it that way. Yeah. Well, it was blocking off the Portage Trail and the rails to trails because they flooded it, and it just basically wiped out a big section of it, so they had to rebuild it a little bit and do some work. And I want to, if there's a beaver trapper around here, let me know who you are. I will give you full permission to come over and trap every beaver in sight. And their tails are good to eat, I might add.
Really?
Oh, yeah. And their fur is highly valued. It used to be. That's what started the county. Actually, this area is as the French trappers were coming through here and trading with the Indians and getting beaver pelts.
Sure, making hats and felt. And
they have plenty of them. Well, now, as far as the Conservancy, do you guys do any practical work on the properties that you oversee? What do you do? Like, for instance, I don't know how you pulled it off, or anybody did, but the greatest thing I think that happened, as I'd mentioned before, was Midway, which was a huge waterfront area, and it was very important to our ecology, and it looked like it was going to be sold off and made into condos, which is going to destroy the natural beauty of it and the basic wilderness area. But the state did pick up Midway. The state does very few things that are great. That, I think, for Chautauqua County was pretty good. What do you think?
I think it's great. I was down there in June, and we were doing some natural vegetation planting, putting in some local species.
What do you put in?
All kinds of different bushes and flowers. And what that does is when you plant these plants, the roots go down and they hold onto the soil. It reduces erosion, builds up and holds those nutrients that would be washing into the water. And now we're holding them in the roots of the plants. And so just building these little buffer gardens really helps take away some of this stuff that would otherwise run into the water. The other advantage is that I just learned myself that geese don't like to come ashore when they can't see the water. So if you have problems with geese all over your lawn along the lakefront, you just plant a buffer garden that's, you know, just high enough that geese can't see over. They get too nervous when they can't see their escape route. This is a natural way to keep the geese off your lawn and from making a mess all over your lawn, instead of these plastic flags and inflatable owls, and, you know, I've seen plastic coyotes.
Swans are their natural enemy, and I was on a golf course where they were a nuisance. Of course, they crap out. Well, I guess I can use that word, on the greens. And you have these big lumps of stuff all over the green when you're trying to putt. And they're a big pain in the butt. And they are, most people don't realize, they're grazers, just like cattle. They go out and they eat grass. And so a golf course, stand back. And now it's reached a point where in our parks and places along the water, they're year-round residents. They used to fly away, you know, part of the year, no more. They stay right there. They have their geese, so you see the little goslings running around in the spring. And it's a year-round project for them. So the geese are a problem. You know, there are more geese and ducks on this continent than there were before the white man came here.
Wow.
before the explorers came here, because nobody's hunting them anymore.
Right.
It's there are federal laws, and you can't shoot one duck, which is hard to tell, one month, and another duck a different month.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then there's a very expensive federal tax you've got to pay to get your duck stamp on top of your regular hunting license, and all kinds of weird regulations.